Um, well, welcome back to another episode of what is this? Trash Talk. Yeah,
And what month
gotta wake up for
did we make it
coffee.
through March yet? Is it April yet?
Yeah. We're into April. It's
Happy
official.
spring. Oh, April Fool's Day.
Yeah, it's actually with that was last week.
Was it?
Uh, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know what day it is. I missed everything, guys. My bad.
But spring has finally sprung. But
Spring is here, man. We had and we kicked off spring the way Texas does. You know what, guys? Let's come in with the 70-degree weather, hit you with the storm real quick, and then we're going to turn it up to 90. Well, you get spring for like 2 minutes, 35 tornadoes, and then it's
oh,
125 degrees. Way
right.
to go, Texas.
Yeah, in fact, I had a neighbor across the street. I don't know why. Woke up in the middle of the night. There was a storm. Woke up in the middle of the night, and there was something. There was a light or what. My neighbor across the street's out there with a flashlight, checking the damage on the top of his cars for
I
hail.
was uh I was sitting there on the porch or the patio, I mean, and it was funny because I knew the storm was coming and we saw the lightning in the distance, but the wind wasn't a tornado situation. I mean, it could have been, but there was no indication and the wind wasn't that bad, but the rain was going sideways in five different directions.
Yeah,
And then the hail came and it did like I have a really massive patio, so I'm just chilling, got my little light on, got some music, and then I'm like, this is cool. And I'm watching the hail and I look at the sidewalk. I don't see the sidewalk. It's just hail.
yeah, and it passed by so quickly.
Brutal, brutal. But no damage though. No
Yeah,
damage. Unfortunately my car's roof was still on. Knock on wood, the next one. And I don't although I think my insurance company would be like, look, Brandon, this car is not worth what you say it is.
yeah. And of course this morning the first email that I got on my system when I opened up the
Oh,
computer is from my auto dealership.
of
Uh,
course, of
you know,
course.
the our body shop is open for any of you who sustain hail damage. You know,
Well,
just
spring is here, but with spring comes a lot of really cool activities and events and festivals and just really fun stuff. You and I kind of talk about this throughout the year with different things that we've both gone to, not just here, but across the country, but really like I think the more I don't know if it's the older I get, the more or maybe the more cheap I get. I just love being able to go to those. I wish I had more time to partake in these great festivals or community events all the time because there's so much out there.
especially the magic word that you mentioned was community, because some of these smaller cities and towns, when they put on a community festival or so, they really go to town on it. They do
Yeah,
a
and
good a good
it's
job.
not like, and I'm not putting these bigger ones down, like the ones that are down in Dallas. I'm not putting those down. They're great,
Right.
but the crowd is like being at Disney, which I'll be there in a couple months, but the crowd is like being at Disney. And that can get a little like, let's be real, that can take away from me. But
Right.
I was
Right.
just at one. I was just at one a couple weeks ago in Salina, Texas, nice little community north of us growing, they have
Yeah,
a,
and for those watching and listening, Salina is your typical small town with a small town square, with shops and restaurants and eateries and everything all around the main square and all, which is just a beautiful setting because
really
you
is.
don't have to walk for miles and miles and
No,
miles.
no.
And yeah,
You can
you
walk
you
there.
were actively a part of that festival too.
Yeah, yeah. I like Salina. I'll be honest with you. We almost moved there. I mean, Luke and I had looked multiple times. It wasn't in the stars, it didn't align up. Great community. It is growing. They're getting a lot more.
Yep.
But yeah, I was actively part of it with my work, with my job. So it was a really strenuous day to be out there in 80-degree weather, nice little breeze with great food and alcohol. Yeah, just tough. But I sacrificed and I did it for the greater good. But it was really cool because this is it's called the Texas Tastemakers Festival, and it was in Salina, Texas. Live music, great vendors, local. Let's let and not just local. I mean, there was local. I'm talking also hyper local, like very hyper local. And what this was a showcase of not just Salina, Texas, but let's really be real, most of it, of the food offerings, of the restaurants, the small independent vendors. I'm not saying there weren't like big corporate tents there. There's a couple, like there's a energy drink. I don't really drink it, although I have a case of it now. Celsius energy drink, and I guess it's one of the healthier. I'd say that very loosely.
Right,
Um,
right.
uh, Energy drinks out there, and I have had it. And take it from a guy who drinks a lot of coffee. Oh yeah, it works. Okay. And it's good flavor. My eyes are like this, I'm like, hey guys. But you don't feel the massive heart, palpitations or anything.
Right.
Anyway, they were there, and they were just giving out the new cans. It wasn't even like it was like, oh, you want a can? Boom. And so they had those there, but it was very hyper local from all the local restaurants, even some restaurants that weren't open. They hadn't grand opened yet. They had a tent
Yeah.
and we're like, hey, we're opening next month. Boom, here's some of the menu. And you got to try. You buy a little card and you wore it around like a lanyard. And I gotta say, it probably had like 20 little Texas symbols on there, that like the outline of the state of Texas.
Yeah.
And you would go through and they would just check it off. And then you could vote for the best one. But on top of that, local breweries, there's like 5 different local breweries there. Uh, we were cooking, we had a massive tent because we sponsored the whole thing. And we were cooking some great food. Our culinary team from San Antonio came up and they,
Wow.
yeah, very cool. Because we have a whole culinary school down there and we train, dude, different level, bro, different level. And so I got to meet some of those guys, talk to them, and they create these great ideas that we eventually sell in the store and stuff like that. So we were making Wagyu beef sliders with tomatoes and oh my God. And
Those
they
are
would
the
have,
things they charge 10 and 12 and $14 for in a restaurant.
and I'm not talking like half a slider. I'm talking slider. You got
Yeah.
your slider, and people would come up. We have them there, and boom, and then we would rotate through that, and we had 3 different jalapeno poppers, and these jalapenos are like this big. They did one jalapeno popper that they did with uh, flaming hot Cheetos, and so the whole thing was red. Oh my God! Like just and I don't do the like a lot of jalapenos, but I gotta tell you, stuff with brisket, stuff with booty, like they had these little mini cheesecake things with fresh raspberry. I don't even know what it was. I ate it. And then we were pouring Texas wines. We had about 7 or 8 different Texas wines that you could get, and you just
So was
turn in
this
your.
all done by your culinary team and all, or was this also done by some of the local vendors and all that were showing up?
Everything that I talked about was our culinary team. The other vendors had their own food.
Yeah.
I ate something from this place called Heyday, or was it Haywire? I don't remember. Hey something. Sorry guys. It's in Salina, Texas. Absolutely amazing. The guy explained it to me 3 times what it was. I still don't remember. But it had this ginger soy sauce with garlic, and it was like this piece of pork and and you literally now mind you, he's giving you a plastic fork. I literally just no struggled with ease, just melted with oh my God. And then I had anyway, they had all these little mini pizzas. Great stuff. But then you could see some of the the clothing shops there. And they might necessarily not give you stuff. You could buy stuff, but they would have fun things like, hey, spin the wheel and get a free this. Like
Right.
probably about 1,200 people went through there. But the coolest thing about it, maybe a little less, the coolest thing about it was spread all downtown. So all these local businesses are drawing people in and they're represented, but it never felt crowded. It never felt like you were just like,
Yeah.
you weren't waiting in line long. And if one line was long, the other wasn't. Like it was one of those things that you could bring the kids to and not feel like, oh my God, this is a chore, you know? What a cool event. And then we went afterwards. We walked down to Rollertown Brewery in Salina, who's, by the way, building for those of you in Texas, building their big brewery in Frisco, right next to FC Dallas. And just a little tidbit, a little fun thing here, fun factoid, if you will. Uh, Rollertown was actually what they called Salina before they named it Salina, Texas, because Rollertown popped up because everything was on wheels so they could move the whole town when the railroad track kept on getting built. So they used to name
That's
it Roller Town.
that's cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
Fun
But
time. So, but those are the things that you can go to.
well, and also for the locals, it's a great way for them to showcase their goods. A lot of local artists come out. You
Yeah,
generally will find that they'll have like a farmer's market where you can get fresh vegetables and fruits and all that are grown by the local the local people, and it introduces. That's what I love about the local community type gatherings like this is because you get something from a local shop like a bad cough. Um, but you get introduced to it and then that draws you in to come back. And
absolutely.
like you
And
said, I like the lanyard idea because that way you can just walk around from vendor to vendor and enjoy everything that they have to offer. And
I
that
felt
sets
like
the stage.
it was a good quantity. It wasn't like, oh my God, they only give you 5 opportunities and then you got to buy more, which, might be something to look into in the future. But it was a good opportunity. Like you bought that lanyard, and I feel like you didn't need to purchase another one because think about it. If you're with the family, you guys can spread it out, or you get
Yeah.
two of them. You get two, and then you're good. On top of that, you got 15 drink tickets. Okay, so our wine was only one ticket, 2 ounces. Now, 2 ounces might not seem like a lot, and it's really not, you know. But if you wanted a double, you get 4 ounces. You can get 4 ounces for 2 tickets, no problem. If you really enjoyed that wine, but we have 8 wines. So if you used all 8 on us, you would still have other tickets to go try beers and other cocktails. They have margaritas, things like that. But you use 8 of those tickets, you got 8 ounces, or if you got doubles, you got 16 ounces of wine. You're gonna feel it. So
Yeah.
I felt like 15 tickets was sufficient because I had people coming up going, dude, I got to just get a double because I'm not going to finish these tickets. And then if you got VIP, it was drink whatever you want. You didn't need the tickets.
It also those type of festivals and everything are great for families and for the kids because they usually have bounce houses and face painting booths and things like that to involve the kids. Uh, and it's in a setting that's big enough to enjoy the crowd, but
Yeah,
small enough that you're not standing in line for an
that's what I was
hour
saying.
waiting to do something.
That's what I was saying. Like if you're in
Yeah,
line for something and it seems too long, bounce.
yeah,
There was a lot of there was a couple open areas of like grass where the kids could do whatever, but they also had interesting things for kids. It was a lot of the local shops were adding stuff for the kids. There was face painting. There's ice cream. There's snow cones. I mean, the local ice cream shop had these little mini cups of all their flavors, and you give them a ticket, you get 2 of those mini cups. Like
yeah.
you know what I mean? And then they were giving away like swag for the kids, you know. There was a bubble, they called it the bubble room. I wanted to go in it, to be honest with you. And it's this closed tent that was set up almost like a nightclub. It had like techno playing, and I'm like, I gotta go in there, you know. And the guys at the door dressed up in a fake, like it's like a suit t-shirt, you know, and he's checking little wristbands and letting the kids in, and it's bubbles. And they're blowing bubbles. They got big things and lights, and I'm like, that's cool. And I asked them, I go, how many tickets is that? And they're like, nah, there's no ticket. We just do it. And I'm like, okay, that you get it. Because now those kids are happy. The parents get a break. They're right there. They got all these little lounge chairs. And then when they're done, they can go, you know, do whatever.
Yeah, and those are also usually opportunities for local musicians to, like this festival you're talking about. They've got a little gazebo right in the middle of the square and everything, and it's a great place for a solo artist or something to get up and sing a few songs, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you find out, hey, that guy's pretty good, or that girl's got a really good voice. She's local. She appears at local places, so I'm going to start to follow her. You know.
Yeah, it was cool. And that's what they do in Salina a lot of times. Like, take this festival away from it. You could just walk down there on a Saturday night, Friday night. They got a couple food trucks, maybe. Even if they don't, it doesn't matter because
Yeah.
you got all these restaurants and great places, and they pop some music on. They turned that into the VIP area. And then they had a separate stage on the back of a flatbed truck. That they
Cool.
had the band. And
Yeah.
you know, and those are popping up. I mean, McKinney, where I live, does a lot of things. Frisco, they do a lot downtown. They have a not to be a shameless plug, but we're sponsoring another one in Frisco called Frisco Uncorked. We've done that every year. Big wine festival down there at the end of April. But again, local. You're there. You're supporting
Right.
a Texas company with, yes, there'll be Texas wines, there'll be other wines, but all those businesses are going to benefit from everything that's coming in there, and they're all local businesses. And I think that's what's great. I know they do it everywhere in different parts of the state and the country, but it's one of those things inevitably that if you get your hands on one of the community papers or just go online, you know, and pop up, you know, McKinney,
Yeah.
Texas, Frisco, Texas, Salina, whatever, it'll
Yeah.
tell you
Just
what's coming.
Google small festivals near me.
Yeah,
For this weekend, and they're there. And if you live in a big city, 45 minutes you're outside of the city and into a small town and go to one of these festivals, and a lot of them are themed, about around either what that town represented or what their local crop is.
sure,
In
sure.
Iowa, they've got corn festivals all
Well, that's all
every
they got
year
in Iowa,
in the
right?
spring
That
and the fall.
that's all they have in Iowa is corn. They can't do
Well,
anything
that's right.
else.
And when it's 100 degrees out there, it pops itself.
You're not, yeah. Does it get to be 100 in Iowa?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, okay.
It
Look, I got
does.
to be honest with you. I have to really think about where Iowa is on a map, okay? I don't really think about that state very much. No
It's
offense
just,
to any.
it's just west of Detroit.
Yeah, but we know that there's like past that, it's like, you know, like Iowa. Like, no offense to any Iowians or whatever they call themselves, you corn people. But when I think of Iowa, I always think of the horror movie Children of the Corn. So I'm good. I don't think I'll be going to Iowa anytime
Yeah.
soon.
Well, that's why you have a tendency to avoid New England too, because
Yeah, there's a
because of all the
lot.
horror stories from New
There's a
England.
lot, and I like New England, but I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
okay. You know.
Well, we encourage small town festivals. We enjoy going to them and
Yes.
sharing them. We have often bought great pieces of art, little sculptures and things like that done by pottery,
A
uh,
hundred,
by
yeah,
local
yeah.
artists that are at those festivals, and it's a fraction of the cost of what you do if you walk into a gallery.
I met a
And
great
and
artist.
it has a greater meaning too.
Oh yeah, because you have a story behind it, and
Yeah.
you're supporting somebody, and you know you've made that connection. You know, I remember years ago when I lived in Frisco Square, prior to everything in my life. Well, not everything, and I really enjoyed my time there. and they used to do art in the square.
Right.
And I would just, walk on down and check out the art. I met a local artist that I still follow today. I haven't bought anything from them in a while, but it might be on my radar. But the point is, I've got two of their pieces. I still follow them today. I still talk about them. And it was all from that local festival that I would have never discovered them because this was before TikTok. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
we had Facebook and all that, but still, it was, um, I wouldn't have found them on social media, you know?
Well, it's easy to find. It's easy to find these places, and all. We encourage you that if you're trying to look for something to do on any given weekend,
Just
uh,
go.
just try and find those local festivals that are going on, and then also put on your calendar to come back next Tuesday and see us.
We'll be back, guys. We'll see you next Tuesday, 8 a.m. Don't forget, guys, we don't mind if you leave a review. We don't mind it. You can leave a review, not just about the show, about us, about Stuart. Yeah, you can talk trash, but like we do.
That's
But
right.
you know what? Leave a review. Spotify allows it. YouTube allows. We would love to hear from you guys.
Absolutely. So go out and make it a great day, and come back and see us again next week. Okay. Bye.